So, yes, a confrontation campaign involves slightly illegal things, but I think it's a very important democratic tool that has a long democratic history in order to get advances in politics. But our opponents obviously thought that this sort of illegality they can use against us, and they started slowly from 1998, but ever more dramatically when the battery farm ban came in 2004, with what I would call state repression. And it is a heavy word to say state repression. Many people would say, God, state repression, I can't build my house, I can't change this, I can't do that. There is always governments, maybe local governments, who don't allow this or that. So repression is something you say. It was a complete surveillance that started ever more rigorously. At any demo, any party we did, there somebody came and watched and wrote down who is who. Tried to get names of everybody, tried to get pictures of everybody, tried to put everybody onto their files. Then they started with bans of our demonstrations. And that's not so easy because you have the right to protest. But so there was a special unit, especially the anti-terrorist unit in the Austrian police, who actually went to the political opponent of us and started to help them combating us. For example, they went and told them to register protests themselves, which they would never have to do, but only to register them with authorities, gave the authorities the possibility to ban our demos, because they said there is already a demo there, you can't do your demo. Although they never did the demo, they still could ban our demo this way. And this was suggested to them by this anti-terrorist unit. They also did media work for our opponent. They said these people are good in media, so you need to have counter media, and they helped them. We know that from internal documents and papers that they actually did that. And also that they spread intelligence on activists. For example, I have a school friend, 25 years ago, who became a vivisector in a vivisector laboratory. And he once phoned me suddenly and said, I've just received a picture of you and description underneath saying, beware, this is an animal activist, and if you see him, immediately call the police. What happened was that this anti-terrorist police sent to everybody who they potentially think might be a target of our civil disobedience or occupation actions to warn them from us. Equally the filming. I mean, you might want to go in a vivisection lab to film. You might need to do that on a daytime. And then they see your face and they wanted to warn them from me. So they sent my picture around everywhere and warned them. So that is what the anti-terrorist police started to do. Also, apparently, those opponents have a big influence on the University of Vienna, because from 2006 onwards, I'm banned from the university. I cannot speak at the University of Vienna. I can't give talks, I can't join seminars. Also, they wrote, the Ministry of Education wrote to every single school in Austria, warning them from us. Influence on their children, real influence on pupils in schools. There's radical animal people around, and they warn them from us. Which also, obviously, they see we have an influence on young people, and young people are interested in animals. They sympathize with animals, so they wanted to cut that off by warning the schools. Also, when you do a civil disobedience action, one thing you do is you do it openly, you say who you are, and then you receive a fine. You might fight the fine in court, arguing your ethical stance or whatever. But fined you will be at the end. But for the fine, there is discretion by those courts who fine you, either little fine or big fine. Usually with civil disobedience for ethical reasons, you would expect a small fine. Because what happened? Nothing big happened, a little occupation in an office. But they started to deliberately pull up the fines to astronomical proportions. For example, we blocked a transport lorry, live transport lorry, and said it must be checked for the law because they never control them. And they started to give fines of many thousand euros per activist for such a blockade. Also, when we went in front of the hunters, and said, don't shoot at those animals. This was a campaign to get the breeding of animals to be shot banned. And stood in front of it and don't shoot those animals. This is nothing but stepping onto a ground that is used for hunting. And they gave a fine of 2,000 euro per person for doing this. So when the fines get so out of proportion, obviously it's very hard to do any sort of action. People that came and said we want to be activists, and obviously we were welcoming to everybody, so they joined our group and went into our groups and participated everywhere. So they put agents there, 2 agents. And what was the outcome of all this surveillance? Nobody was seen ever committing a criminal offense. Nobody was seen planning a criminal offense. Nobody was seen organizing a criminal offense for anybody else. And nothing happened with this watching of the bank account monitoring. Nothing happened. So there's the result of this almost 2 years, so 1.5 year observation and very detailed surveillance, was nothing criminal there. So you would have thought, again, this is the time to stop such surveillance operations. But no, they escalated it one step further. On the 21st of May this year, they put a number of groups, 35 officers each, and they came in the night into the private homes and 7 offices of animal groups and raided them. What does it mean, raiding? I had this experience. They raided my home, they raided 2 of my brother's homes, they raided my girlfriend's home, and they raided the home of the girlfriend of my brother. And each of those raids happened such. They came in the night, smashed in the door with the big iron thing, that the door broke in the middle, and then they stormed in screaming, and they had black masks, only the eyes were free, and they had helmets, and they had flashlights, and they had drawn guns. And with this shotgun, with these guns, with these pistols, they came in, stormed into all bedrooms, put the lamps, the flashlights on us, put the gun on my head, and pulled me out of the bed naked onto the wall, and then put the gun in the back there. And then handcuffed the people, and then started searching the houses. And they did this in 23 private homes and in 7